We got a packed house here today. Very excited. Joining us, as always, you're like a podcast regular now.
Yeah.
My good friend, and I'm very excited. You put the tour together, and it's really kicking a lot of ass. Eddie Bravo is going to be joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and he was just on Joe Rogan's MMA podcast, and I want to talk about that whole thing. He's got a great podcast that he does with Jeffrey Wilson called Conspiracy Farm.
Yeah, The Conspiracy Farm.
The Conspiracy Farm.
Yep.
Pat Meltich, everybody.
Hey-o, glad to be here, man.
And then finally joining us in the back, the quiet man. He's got a radio show in Denver and a really sweet podcast called We Are Superman, David Clark.
Well, thanks for quiet, man. I don't think that's ever been attached to me.
Well, I'm
before,
sure you're about to go off. And join me, as always, is my co-host with the most, my good friend Ryan Davis.
Much love, no hate.
Yes.
Talked about this on JRE, that our government, the Pentagon, spent $500 million to a UK
PR
company to make fake ISIS videos.
Yeah.
They paid them $500 million
right.
to make fake
And that's what
ISIS
I said.
videos. So when you hear that,
Yeah.
is it smart or dumb to not trust any of that shit?
Yeah.
You're like, it's smart not to trust. Or is it smart to trust shit and say, you know what? They had a good reason. The reason was
Propaganda.
Yeah, we make these fake ISIS videos, we put them on CDs and scatter them across the Middle East, and whoever views them, now we have a tracking device on them, and then we get to arrest ISIS. Like, people fucking believe that.
It goes
people
even deeper.
believe that.
It goes deeper, Eddie.
That's scarier than any conspiracy theory, that what people believe. That's scarier.
Well, and that's where here's
scarier than the conspiracy theories.
Right. Here's how I break it down.
It's like everyone, and these are smart people that believe that. Smart people buy into that.
Absolutely.
So it's not like, oh, they're idiots for believe. They're not idiots. Smart people believe that. It can't be idiocy. It has to be a form of mass hypnosis, and I'm not joking. Smart people are hypnotized. They're hypnotized. If you see Tower 7, you see the video and it goes down, and you think Tower 7 went down because of fires, you're not an idiot. You're not a moron. You could be very smart. You are hypnotized. That's for real.
Book smart and street smart.
There's certain things that I don't necessarily subscribe to or bite on or things like that. But I would say this is the way I relate it. And you're a comedian, and you've been on stage a million times, and you've been in comedy clubs when you've seen a hypnotist get on stage and do funny shit.
Yeah.
He'll hypnotize a bunch of people. I went years ago with a girlfriend, long before I was married, and the comedian brought volunteers on stage, set them all in chairs, and then said, and anybody in the crowd that wants to try and get hypnotized, go ahead and do it. Don't touch them. If they fall asleep, just point to them. I'll come and get them, bring them on stage, right? So he gets all these people hypnotized. There's 25 people on stage. There's a Hell's Angel giving birth to a baby. There's all kinds of crazy shit and pandemonium going on. That's when people look at the TV, they immediately look at a TV broadcast and a news broadcast and say to themselves, that's my authority. That's the authority figure who's telling me the truth, and people believe it. They bite on it, and it's mass hypnosis. That's how it happens, right? And I just look at people and go, if you would take the time to research really what's going on, you'll learn that I can't even have the news on in my house.
Yeah, my girlfriend shut it down. She runs to the television, turns it off when I'm coming in. It's like me when you're watching porn and your girlfriend comes home. You're like, turn it just checking on the stocks, and you turn it off, right? And then you gotta explain why your pants are around your ankles, looking at the stocks. But that's how she is. She runs, she grabs the remote, and she changes it. And she's not a bad person. She's actually quite intelligent. But like, she's so busy, she thinks she needs to be informed. And it's like, you're not informed, you're misinformed.
Yeah.
Like, stop watching it and take some time and breathe, and you'll see what's going on. Like, you and I are a lot of like in that we're still Q guys. I think a lot of people who've stepped back from Q, I think
that there's been many things that Q has put out that have actually happened.
I agree.
For instance, pay attention to the news in eastern Michigan early next week. There's a meteorite.
Yeah.
Right? There's been
Hillary
other
Clinton's
things that
fire.
And then the post in Thailand, why is a Russian being detained in Thailand? It showed the gate, showed all the other stuff, right? And then we find out that there's a Russian that's actually been detained in Thailand who has information on all the pedophiles,
Yeah.
high-level pedophiles, right? So there's some things that indicate that Q is somebody within military intelligence or whoever they are, and then there's been other drops by Q that maybe are misleading, right? When they get hacked, they say that Q's been hacked a couple times and a bunch of bullshit's gone out to distract. For me, the jury's still out. I'm not 100% sure, but there's been some stuff that identifies that person as they know exactly what's going on and they're on the inside. And some people think that General Kelly is Q.
A lot of people have been talking about this. He mentioned this video being dropped, and it goes back to something you were talking about this high-level cover-up. Anthony Weiner gets arrested, and he's in jail. Now, we got to understand something. Anthony Weiner, even though he was disgraced, he was very, very high up in politics. There was a thought he was going to run for president. Like, he was juiced in, homeboy. And he gets busted, and now he's going to jail for texting like a 16-year-old girl, like texting, and you're throwing this dude in jail. That doesn't make any sense to me if we know what the history
And
is.
who knows when these politicians get sent to jail? Who knows if they're really going to jail?
Oh, I think about that all the time.
Who knows if Jeffrey Epstein really went to jail? Who would know that?
Yeah, and
Who would know that?
where this stuff all comes from, though, is ultimately when you go back to the Awan brothers, the Pakistani IT guys who were hired by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the
100%.
DNC, and they handed out all the BlackBerries to all the politicians on Capitol Hill, and they had collection points, which is proven, it's documented. They had collection points around D.C. where they would suck up all the information off people's phones. Look, Sam, I know you've got a beautiful wife, for whatever, you're a politician.
Thank you.
These 3 girlfriends of yours are pretty hot, too.
What?
Be amazing if your wife found out about that.
We don't need to do that.
Listen, we have this bill coming up that we're going to need you to vote on, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's being compromised, right?
Exactly.
The reason I ask is because so much of what we're talking about is belief, and I see that you got the American flag there on your shoulder. How do you still, and I know you have friends in the military, how do you not lose belief in this country being
I would
the
say
villain?
this. I would say this. And,
Great question.
And this
Great
is
question.
this will go a little deeper, and it might freak you guys out. I'm a Freemason. I'm a Freemason for a couple reasons. One, Freemasons were responsible for the French and American revolutions, right? That's where the whole the crown prince and the king and this and that in France and in England, the abuse of the combination of the elites, the crown and the church, both times were subjugating the citizens, overtaxing them, abusing them. You were not ordained by God to wear a crown and rule over me. We were all created equal, and that's where all that comes from Freemasonry, right? So that's my belief, and the guys Travis, Boone, and Crockett at the Alamo. When I went to see the Alamo with Michael Chavello, my former broadcast partner, who's also a Freemason, we walked into that building, and instantly I went, these guys were Masons. I'm telling you, they were Masons. And then we got an 85-year-old guy who gave us the explanation of the whole Alamo, how the battle went down. It was so well presented because I'd seen people go up for degrees, and I've seen 3,000-word lectures out of memory. The G lecture, which is an incredible lecture about, I'll leave it at that. It's incredible, right? But I knew right away, I said to Michael, I go, I'm telling you, Crockett, Boone, Travis, all these guys they knew they were going to die, and they went, this is on principle, man. We're going to fight. We're going to fight our ass off. And because they stood for something, and they were willing to stand for something because they believed in it, right? They believed in each individual's rights, And then I listened to my wife when she became a U.S. citizen, when you have to do the oath, right? It's the same thing that you have to do when you go up for your degrees in Masonry. The wording is literally identical, dude. So Masons so my belief in this flag, why this country was founded, it was founded on the individual's rights, which is being destroyed every day by the elites. And a lot of people go, the Freemasons are Luciferians, they're this. Dude, I was master of my lodge. There was never any mention in any of our literature of any of that shit. It doesn't exist.
They say it at the highest level. When you're 33 degrees, that's when you find out what
Look,
it's all about.
Eddie, you
you
got
know
to
what
understand.
Albert Pike is?
Yeah, I know exactly who he is.
Have you read?
Yeah, absolutely. I've read it all.
There's his Bible that he wrote in the 1800s.
I've read Morals and Dogma. I've read all
There's
that.
no Luciferianism stuff in there?
See, you have to understand that Lucifer means light.
Yes.
Light. The light is
I
knowledge.
understand that. No, I understand that.
The light is knowledge. But so I don't agree with all of Albert Pike's stuff by any means. I don't. right? I don't. There's differences.
So he did talk about.
And I can tell you that there was a Freemason who contacted me on Facebook. I think that there is a side potentially of Freemasonry that's a little odd, right? But
What degree?
The
How close
Illuminati,
are you to
dude.
the 33.
You don't go any higher than 3rd degree.
What's 33rd degree? mean?
That's when you go through Scottish Rite and York Rite. Right?
That's what they're saying, that when you get into that.
Michael Civello's a 32nd degree, and 33rd is only you can only be given that. You can't earn that.
No, but that's what the conspiracy theory is.
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, dude.
Yeah, because there's something here, like to your point, right? Like when you asked Pat, it was just such a great question about, I know that you are a profoundly patriotic person and you have morals and beliefs, but yet we're etching out this dark, terrible place that's just wrought with suffering and pedophilia and rape and murder, and yet as human beings, we still have to navigate life, right? We have to be happy. We have to find a way to make sense of it, to raise our children, to push the race forward, even in the midst of all of this crazy shit.
Right.
And so how do you speak to that? I mean, I know what I believe in life, because I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, listen to all this, and I've heard you say it and stuff like that, and I don't know where I fall in all this, but I'm just like, eyes wide open right now, trying to take it all in.
I would say this,
Because you got kids.
But explain
I have 3 daughters,
part.
dude. I have 3 daughters. I teach my daughters. I'm working on. I want them to know how to operate a karambit knife. I want them to be able to slice someone wide open if they have to protect themselves. I want them to know how to operate weapons if they have to, because eventually they're going to have to be out there in the world on their own. I want them to be the scariest little girls walking the fucking planet. I want them to devour people, know how to choke somebody unconscious, know how to knock people out with elbows, knees, and head kicks.
But yet,
I want them to be wrecking machines. But I explain things to my children of the dangers of the world, of the people that are out there, of the evils out there, and that they have to be well equipped, not only mentally, spiritually, but physically in all of this. And what we're doing here by talking about dark things is exposing. We have to shed light on it.
Sure, absolutely.
For people to absorb it mentally and to come to grips with that it exists and that we have to crush it, right?
But the one thing that
have
I
to
think
morally
we miss,
do that.
Yeah, I had a friend come up to me, one of my students, and he's kind of, one eye closed and then the other eye's like half open. He's not fully awake.
So he's
There's
really
many
high.
levels. There's so many levels.
he's retarded.
No, he's just Asian. So okay. But anyways, he says like, I hear what you're saying with some of these conspiracy theories, and I'm open to it. But as soon as Alex Jones starts talking about the world is run by satanic pedophiles, that kind of shit, that just loses me. I'm like, okay, I can't listen to any of that. So a guy like that and a guy like you guys can't talk about, that's the craziest shit. And that was why a lot of the conspiracy theorists. That's one of the reasons a lot of conspiracy theorists think Alex Jones is a shill. Because as soon as he starts talking, he says 90% of the shit he says is right on. But then he starts talking about the satanic pedophiles run the world.
To discredit things on purpose, almost.
Yeah, but that's fucking true.
No,
David Icke, same thing. People are talking about David Icke. They knock him for the reptilian shit, and they also knocked him for he was saying that the royal family were all pedophiles, and it's a bloodline of pedophiles. He was saying that, so that's where they lose people. But now, with the Hampstead conspiracy, the Jimmy Savile conspiracy of silence, the Franklin
all the groomings of thousands of girls.
Yeah,
all the
and then
other
you
stuff.
see there's videos you could watch on YouTube of actual security camera footage of in Asia where people are kidnapping other kids. They're like dudes driving around a motorcycle. There's a guy sitting behind. They grab a kid, boom, and they're gone. The kid's never to be seen again. Mothers chasing them. There's compilations of that shit. You know what I mean? So anyways, and then he goes, what the percentage of pedophiles in society, it's like they say 10% of the people are gay, but it's got to be like less than 1 are pedophiles. You're saying that everybody in power is a pedophile? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. The odds of but then when you go back and you listen to the whistleblowers like Kay Griggs, you could look up on YouTube, Kay Griggs, wife of the Illuminati. She was married to a dude who was deep. His name was George Griggs, Joint Chiefs of Staffs, came up as a CIA assassin. He would get drunk and he would tell her exactly how he was raised. So this woman who was part of the State Department, she was in it too. She's for 8 hours, she's on YouTube, 8 hours, just telling you how everything is run. She says, and this makes sense. It makes sense.
They've all been compromised, so they have to do.
Well, there's some of that. There's some of that. Hold on. There's some of that. But what she's saying is, since the dawn of time, emperors, rulers of empires would take orphans and a whole group of kids, as many kids as they can, and raise them to be assassins for them. And what they would do is, if you're gonna raise them as an assassin, and you gotta trust them, so you gotta fucking break them. And this is what she's saying. They do it all the time. Like, everybody in position of power has been brought up through this child sex trafficking satanic rituals
Yeah,
where
I
they
don't know
break
what
them.
the percentage of that is, but we know that there's a lot of it.
But this is, I don't know. I'm just repeating what whistleblowers are saying.
Right.
And if you were a ruler, a psychopathic ruler, that's a good idea, right? If I said, you know what?
To keep
We're
power.
let's get as many kids, bring them up as kids, and break the shit out of them. And by the time they're 18, we got some fucking super soldiers, right? And then if this person is talented and like as a singer, damn, let's blow him up as a singer. If this guy's talented in whatever area, that would be the smart thing to do as a psychotic ruler, right? It's taking the kids.
Well, that's the MK Ultra
So yeah,
type thing.
exactly.
Project Monarch.
So Kay Griggs, exactly. So Kay Griggs is saying everybody in power has been brought up through this. That's why they're into kids, because they were abused. And what they do is they make
The cycle
Yeah,
continues.
it's the cycle. That's why. So it makes sense. Like, what are the odds that all these people in power are all pedophiles? When you look at how they were brought up, if Kay Griggs is correct, if she's not, if she's lying, they're dropping the ball, these psychotic fucking rulers.
Right.
That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take the orphans and kids, raise them, and you got fucking brainwashed soldiers. That would be the smart thing to do as a psychotic emperor.
Okay.
Right?
Just let me do this real quick because I want to get to your video. I agree with you.
Yeah.
My only thing on that, and I'll let Pat say as we set your videos up, is that, the Illuminati, when the guy who started the Illuminati got hit by lightning, his whole thing was to bring light to the masses. That's what Illuminati is, to illuminate, And what happens over time is like some dark forces get involved. And, if you're going to have alphas, man, there's always going to be somebody who wants to run the roost and I don't care how high it is or
Right.
where you are. That's just the nature of the business, is the wiring. So I'll let you real quick just comment on his thing with the highest levels if you want to. But I also want to get into Eddie wants to you kind of brought it up on Joe Rogan yesterday about the flat earth and all that stuff. And
We can go to that. I've never had it explained to me in any way, shape, or form, and I'll just say we've all been on planes high enough, going to Asia or wherever, flying over the near the Arctic Circle and things like that, and seeing the curve of the Earth, and
Well,
I just find it very difficult to understand how a guy who's run more miles than all of us combined ever will, who's run over 100 ultras. He's done Badwater in Death Valley for 135 miles at 131
I'm pretty sure I
degrees.
ran off the edge.
He
of
would
the
have
earth
run
in
off the fucking edge by
2015.
now.
You have to, as far as being able to see the curvature of the Earth at 35,000 feet, like at your average airline, you're talking about that. Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked why these amateur balloons going up at 100,000 feet, amateur balloons with cameras, does the Earth appear to be flat? There's no curvature at 100,000 feet. And Neil deGrasse Tyson will tell you, he's the authority on astrophysics, right? He'll tell you, at 100,000 feet, we're still too low to see any curvature. The Earth is so big that even at 100,000 feet, you can't see curvature. That was Neil deGrasse Tyson's answer to why there's no curve at 100,000 feet. So when people say they see curvature at 35,000 feet, what they're seeing is the window at the edges, there's curves.
Yeah, but wouldn't Neil deGrasse Tyson also be
gotta
one of the
fuck
first
with you
people
on
to say?
That's-
Wouldn't Neil deGrasse Tyson also follow that up with saying unequivocally the Earth is round, though?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So they're like
Yeah.
pulling that one thing out of there, but that's
No,
not.
but what I'm saying is,
And Neil deGrasse
I don't believe
Tyson-
shit he says. I don't
Have you
believe
seen
anything
the
he says.
surveillance video from the guy that just passed away? I can't remember.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking's wheelchair camera took what?
And has anybody actually seen Gary Busey since Stephen Hawking passed away? Because I don't know, man. There's a
But it's
conspiracy
a picture
theory
of Neil
right there.
deGrasse
Those two
Tyson
guys
with
are
a
the
knife in front of him.
Stephen Hawking has had ALS he's the world's record holder for dudes with ALS. 50 years, the average person dies with ALS between 2 to 5 years. He lived 50 fucking years, and when he died, they still use that speak and spell voice. Why did they still use that speak and spell voice? Anyways,
Here are the videos.
Before we get to that, you gotta understand that. Let me tell you my story first. When I first, I've always been a conspiracy theorist. I don't trust shit.
Right.
But there's so many levels, and there's so many different. There's the 9/11. There's JFK. There's the Gulf of Tonkin. There's all that shit, right? You got to understand that. First of all, the first time I heard of flat Earth being around, like today, was probably about 2 years ago on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was trying to make a point at how dumb people are, and he said, "Listen, dude, there's still people today that believe the Earth is flat, and you could watch this on video." I go, "What? What are they, Amish or something?" I go, people still believe the Earth is flat. It's fucking ridiculous. This was a couple years ago. I'm like in my 40s, right? A grown ass man, and then the podcast. An appearance later, he brought it up again. He goes, "Yeah, dude, remember, there's people that fucking think the fucking sun is 3,000 miles away." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "And the Earth is flat." I go, "Fuck." I thought, oh, for sure, that's a CIA psyop. That's a distraction to get people away from the real conspiracies. That's what I thought. That's what everybody thinks when they first hear of it. Everybody thinks this. Nobody hears.
It's muddying the waters.
And that's what everybody thinks. So, anyways, then. Maybe 6 months later, a year later, I'm talking conspiracy theories, 9/11 type shit or whatever, chemtrails or whatever, at school. And one of my buddies, Manny, goes, "Hey, you ever look into flat Earth?" And I looked at him like, "You dumb motherfucker." Like, I felt like I lost a soldier because Manny was he's a super conspiracy theorist. And I go, "Dude, please don't ever fucking break." Like, it broke my heart.
Fucking Manny.
Like,
Fredo.
What are you, super religious or something? What's wrong with you? And he goes, "You got to look into it, man." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
So you started hitting and you started looking.
So then another one of my students later goes, "Hey, man," his name's Ernest. He goes, "Hey, you ever look into flat Earth?" I go, "Fuck, not another fucking moron."
Well,
Oh
see,
my
all
God.
your students are high too, so it's all fucked up in there.
No. So, anyways, so he looked at me. I'm like, and I said, "Dude, that is the dumbest shit you could ever say." And he said, "Listen, I got a master's in engineering. Look into it." And I'm like, pfft. So we started getting in debate. I'm like, "Dude, I seen on my iPhone the picture of the fucking Earth on my iPhone every day. It was the default setting on iPhone. It was
Right.
the default setting.
Yeah.
I saw it every day. I never even bothered to put my own picture in there. It was the picture of the Earth from fucking space. It's round. It's a ball. The fuck are you talking about, right? So then we get in an argument, and I go home. I'm like, and then we're texting, and like, "Dude, what the fuck are you, dude? You're really disappointing me, right?" So I get on, and at this point, I already believed that the moon missions were faked. At this point, I already had zero trust in NASA. I thought at that point that NASA was in charge of the moon missions and like space shuttle. That's it. Like that was NASA. I didn't know what NASA really was. I didn't know that they were in charge of all space information since 1958 when they were formed by Nazis, by Werner von Braun. He was the head.
Yeah.
So I knew we didn't go to the moon, but I didn't think that had anything to do with the Earth being round or flat or whatever. I had no idea. So as I'm trying to prove to him, I'm like, I'm just going to punch in on Google, picture of Earth from space, and then send it to his ass. And as soon as that came up, saw a lot of pictures, and I thought, well, these kind of look like a little cartoonish. Then I started hitting links and like flat Earth links and all this stuff. I'm like, what? And then really quick, I started following these pictures to the NASA.gov website. I'm like, NASA is putting out these pics, the guys that faked the moon mission? Like, oh no, there's a problem here. So then when you look at NASA.gov and they tell you they're CGI pictures. They tell you they're composites. And then they said, yeah, you know what? Because we do have one real picture, but all the rest of them are taken from strips of data that we put together, and we get a fucking artist to get their rendition based on these strips of data from these satellites, right? And I'm thinking, oh no, we got a fucking problem here.
And there we were napping with a family of rabbits.
So
far down.
So anyways, once I look into the time, like when was NASA created? Like shit, 1959. Like, dude, all our space information is coming from fucking NASA, which is a Nazi propaganda machine. Werner von Braun was the director of all 6 moon missions, and he's a fucking Nazi. Is that not a comic book? That's a fucking comic book.
Here's the thing, Eddie. We got to
Come
wrap
on,
it
that's
up.
like Batman and shit.
So we got to.
You need to volunteer for the Mars missions, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I love
you're
you.
gonna
This
report
is all
back.
love. We need to pick a video.
Do you
because
believe we went to the moon?
I do.
Okay, then there's no way you're gonna believe in flat Earth. So if
Do I
Is there a
believe
video
that
you
Hollywood
watched?
could fake something like that? Of course. Of course.
so think about all the shit the government has done.
Oh,
And all
there's-
the shit- think
I
about-
question everything
think
for the
about,
most
Think
part.
about all the lies, the media, all
Oh,
the shit.
yeah,
on Trump.
absolutely.
Think about all the lies, every conspiracy. Think about all that shit, and then think about.
But
think
everything's not a lie to me.
No.
Right.
I know. Okay, let's equate. Think about all the stuff. Look, think about all this. We're not in a hurry, are we?
Yeah, we do.
We have to
They have
leave?
another.
This is garbage. No,
What time-
are they going to kick Eddie
What
and I out of the
What time?
studio?
Well, real quick. What do I have? 5 minutes?
They're trying to shut us down.
How long do I have? 5
we
minutes?
own
2
this.
minutes.
We
2
own
minutes.
this
Listen.
studio.
Just think
I
about
could take you
think
guys.
about-
Come on,
think
man.
about all the lies.
Let me get a shot at you two.
Think
right
about
now.
all
You
the
got
lies.
hair,
One,
man. You
let's
got a
do
lot of
this.
hairs.
Think about all the lies, and then think about all the lies in science. Think about I believe that in the science of an iPhone. You know why? Because I don't have to read a report that says the iPhones work. I don't have to read a report. I know iPhones work, so I believe in the science. I believe in the science of cars. When I don't have to read somewhere a science team it says the cars actually roll and they work and they turn on. I know that for myself, so I believe in that science. I believe in science of skyscrapers because I see them. People are in there. It's not collapsing. I believe in that science.
Now, why don't you-
But
think
they're-
about-
but they're
think about-
not
no,
real.
Hold on.
They're not
Think
real.
about. Hold on.
Not real.
Think about the science that's been bullshit.
gotta listen to
Think
this.
about that.
Hold on,
Hold on. Let me
Hold on.
fucking finish. Think about.
We got 7 minutes.
Think about the science that is bullshit.
Here we go.
But none of
No,
that
no,
stuff
no,
exists. None of that
What?
stuff you mentioned exists.
What do you mean nothing exists?
None of that stuff exists. Nothing that we know that we hold to be true exists.
In sense
Not
of
planets,
what?
not cars, not skyscrapers, not mountains, not oceans. None of it exists.
What is this? A
All of
Let him
those-
explain.
I believe
All of-
you. I don't know why, but I do.
All of those,
explain.
all of those things are spinning particles, strong and weak nuclear forces, electromagnetivity, that's representing itself in your brain is
I
real.
get it.
But without a human nervous system, none of those things are
I
real.
get- no, I
so
get
you
that.
can't trust your eyes.
I get that.
You're living in a universe
No,
that you are
I
creating
get
as we
it.
sit
You can't
here.
trust shit. I understand that. But think about, I believe in
trust me.
science. I believe in science that I can prove for myself. But think about
Science
all the
doesn't
bullshit.
believe in
Tobacco science. Bullshit, right? Tobacco science. Bullshit. Marijuana science. Remember all that marijuana science?
Right.
Sugar science.
Yeah.
What about, remember all the lies in sugar science?
Right.
So think about the science, the vaccine lies. Think about all the lies there.
absolutely.
Vaccine lies, marijuana lies for decades, tobacco lies, tobacco science, sugar science. So we know, okay, now, before we believe in science, we need some real proof. We can't take anybody's word for science unless we can prove it ourselves. You're not going to go to jail if you don't believe we went to the
But
moon.
yet-
You're not going to get a big tax break if you believe we went to the moon. So there's no reason. If they said we're going to go to the moon, you're going to go to jail if you don't believe in the moon landings. I go, we went to the fucking moon.
But
if
yet-
they said we're going to give you a $2,000 refund every year if you sign something that says we went to the moon, I'm like, we went to the fucking moon. We went to the moon.
But yet,
you don't
real
get any of that
science-
shit.
But yet, real science, accurate science, doesn't believe in science either.
I believe
when,
that.
When you're actually engaged in the scientific process, you take nothing for granted. You don't try to prove anything. You're just merely on a quest. You're seeking to be awake to what is out there. So whenever someone starts banging really loudly and posturing, that's a really good time to not listen.
This has got to be a part two, guys.
Hey, listen, I'd rather be thought of as an idiot for not
nobody
trusting the
thinks you're an
government than a
Nobody thinks you're
traitor
an
for
idiot.
defending them. Remember that shit. It's better to be
Right.
thought as an idiot for. People
Yeah.
think I'm an idiot for not
Nobody
trusting the
thinks
government.
you're an
No.
idiot.
Well, a
No.
lie is a
No.
lie,
Trust-
whether
I would
Trust
never
me.
think you're an idiot.
I didn't say you thought I was an idiot. I'm just saying
I don't think
people
you're an
out
idiot.
there,
I don't think
people
you're an
think I would rather be thought as a moron for not trusting criminals than a fucking sellout and a traitor for defending them.
The reality
the
is-
things that come out of your mouth, are you saying something that a defense attorney would say, or are you saying something that a prosecuting attorney would say? When it comes to the government, that criminal, that's like John Gotti. I'm saying shit that a prosecuting attorney would say, not saying shit like, "We'll prove it. We'll prove it." It's a criminal.
No.
They need to prove. You
I
need
agree.
to prove without a doubt Whatever's coming from the government, I need some I need the kind of fucking evidence that would just shut down a case. If I don't see the evidence, why would I believe it? For what? What benefit do I get in believing we went to the moon? What benefit? Is it gonna benefit me? Dude, you've been fucking fooled. Everyone's been fooled. Think about all the lies. The lies go deep. You know what people think, like, oh, flat earth and the moon landing, that's a distraction from the real conspiracy theories? That's what I used to think. You know what I think? I think those conspiracy theories, the mainstream conspiracies, are a distraction for the real conspiracy, where we're on, what we're on. They're trying to keep God from us. They're trying to keep the creator from us. They're making us insignificant when this is a special fucking place, Ron. Who knows what shape it is? But you know what? Water doesn't fucking curve. Water doesn't curve. Water stays level. Water's level. Water doesn't curve. So you're telling me gravity is strong enough to hold oceans onto it, battling inertia from the spin, so gravity's holding oceans, inertia's trying to pull it out and make it fling. Skyscrapers would fling off the earth from inertia, but this gravity's holding these. It's so strong, it's holding these, but it can't hold a fucking helium balloon. Helium balloon goes up. The conspiracy theory about gravity, and I'm not making this up, is that it isn't gravity what holds things down, it's density that holds things down. Because if gravity, the reason why a helium balloon rises is because it's lighter than the air around it. Why does a rock go down to the bottom of the ocean, but a tennis ball doesn't? Because the air is not as dense as the water. Things that are less dense go up. Things that are more dense go down. Has nothing to do with gravity. Where's gravity at with butterflies? You would think that if the gravity's so strong it's holding fucking skyscrapers down to it, that we would be flat. We would be flat on the ground. It doesn't, but that doesn't make any sense.
I'm just going to say one weird thing. The moon is a very interesting thing. Have you ever looked into the moon? We did a whole episode on the moon. It stays perfect in its rotation.
And you only see one face.
And it's
the front face.
It's
it never
bigger than
spins.
Pluto. And it should not be able to stay in our gravitational force. I'm gonna say, look into it. I would love to show the videos. We got another thing coming in.
No, we're good.
Cool.
I had a great time. I
Hey,
love that you
Sam,
came.
thank you.
I'm a huge fucking fan, and I'm honored that you even came.
Awesome.
on.
You know,
It's a
anybody,
pleasure to meet you.
listen, there's a lot of disinformation out there on flat earth. That's another thing. There's disinfo.
You got it
agents.
going, man. You got it going.
Listen,
We can do a whole one next time you're in,
Just
dude.
listen. Go to YouTube and look up Eric Dubé. That's the only guy you need to listen to. Don't listen to anybody else. Just Eric Dubé. That's all you need. He'll